Good vach, everyone. Today, Shabbos came out with some great news from 4 hostages who came out of Gaza. So I'd like to read Mizmor Lesoida. מזמור לתודה, הריעו לאדוני כל הארץ, עבדו את אדוני בשמחה ובואו לפניו ברננה, דעו כי אדוני הוא אלוהים, הוא עשנו ולא אנחנו עמו וצאן מרעיתו. בואו שערה בתודה, חצרותיו בתהילה, עדו לו ברכו שמו כי טוב אדוני לעולם חסדו והדור ודור אמונתו. So we're going to start today by Mציעא Daf Kuf Beis. We're going to start from the Mishnah Kuf Aleph on the base at the bottom. Says the Mishnah, Amaskir Bais Lechaveroi. Someone who rents a house to his friend, Amaskir, the landlord, Chayev Bedeles, he needs to supply the door, but Nagor is a bolt, the inside bolt, Ubemanul, and the lock from the outside. That's what Tosis Yontov explains. V'chol Dova Shemaisa Uman, anything that you need someone who's a professional to install. But anything they don't need someone professional, the tenant has to do it. Hazevel, the menor, Shabalabais belongs to the landlord. Only the waste that comes out of the oven and a different type of oven, that belongs to the tenant. And the Gemara is going to explain a little more details about that. Someone who rents a house to his friend, the landlord has to supply doors, to open windows, to strengthen the roof, to put in a beam, but the tenant, he's the one who has to make a ladder, to put a railing on the roof, to put on the pipe that the water comes off the roof that shouldn't go all over the place. And to put lime on the roof, stop the water going in. Ask Rav Sheshes a shaila, mezuzah al mi, who's mechuyev to the mezuzah, the landlord or the tenant? So the Gemara, mezuzah? Omar Rav Mesharshi, mezuzah choyva sadori, the one who lives in the house, so the tenant who needs to put the mezuzah. Ela mokoi mezuzah al mi, who has to make the hole in the door, on the side of the door, to put the mezuzah in? Omar Rav Sheshes Tanasua, we learned it. Dova shein ma'aseh uman. Something that you don't need a professional person to do it. So the tenant needs to do it. V'hai nami lav ma'aseh umanu. It's not considered ma'aseh uman. Why not? Efshahu, it's possible to do beguvusya dekanya, a like bamboo, like a small bamboo stick that's hollow inside. You put the mezuzah in it, and you hang it on the door, and therefore it's not a professional thing, and therefore the tenant needs to do it. Tell the Gemara based on Modalef Toner Rabbanon, Amaski Bais Chaveri, someone who rents a house to his friend, the tenant. The tenant mechuyev to do lasis lemezuzah ukashiyoitza, when he leaves lo yitlenu biyodo, he shouldn't take it. He should leave in the house. If he's renting from a landlord who's not Jewish, he could take the mezuzah with him. The other person who took the mezuzahs with him and left, and he buried his wife, and both his kids. Ask the Gemara, because the Gemara understood that this story is going on the Sefer, where you're allowed to take the mezuzah from a landlord who's a goy. It's somehow on the story with an Aryeh, where it's somehow where the landlord was Jewish, and he took the mezuzah, and his wife and 2 kids passed away. Ask the Gemara, and what are we talking about? They rented the garden also to the soicha, to the tenant, the Torah, the soicha, and the oxes who are supplying this manure belong to the tenant. Amaisha balabais, why did it go to the balabais? Says the Gemara, they didn't rent the chotza, la soicha. The Torah Demaski and the oxes belong also to the landlord. Says the Gemara, pshita, obviously everything belongs to the landlord. Why should it go to the tenant? Says the Gemara, lo tzricha b'chotza demaskir. It's the chotza that belongs to the landlord. He never rented out. The Turi de Osama Alma, and the oxes are from Rishus Rabim. Komubo, they went inside. And even if before the landlord came, the soicha picked it up and wanted to be zoich in it, no. the landlord's koined beginning chotza. Messiah Rav Yossi bar Chanina. It's a right to the din that Rav Yossi bar Chanina said. Omar Rav Yossi bar Chanina chatzer shlodom koine lo yishlo midato. Even if the person's not there, it's chotza's koine. And also here we could see the chotza's koine the zevel. Meisive, we have a kasha. It says in Omar kol mציעא shivo leficha and tikni lechatzeri. A person says any mציעא that comes into my chotza today, I should be koine. Lo yomar klum. He's not koine. Ve'im isa. If it's true, lo Omar Rav Yossi bar Chanina, that what? That chatzer shalom koine lo yishlo midato yamai lo yomar klum. Why is he not koine? He should be koine. It's his chotza. So the Gemara, Chomaskina, this price is talking about bechotza sheini mishtameres. It's about a chotza that's not guarded. So therefore, the whole dinner of Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina is bechotza mishtameres. Ask the Gemara, Yochi, if so, look at the safe of this price. They're talking about that if Ploini, a birds or fish or deer that with his leg broken went into his chotza, and he said, I want my chotza to be koin. Dvar Hayomi, bechotza sheini mishtameres, that's not guarded. That's everyone's talking about, that a deer with a broken leg went to his chotza. My happy, what did they help? It's no mishtameres. So the Gemara, no. Kevin the Yotzal Hashem Mציעא beir. Everyone's talking about if Ploini, a Mציעא came into his chotza. People keep away from it because everyone's so mad that it's his. So therefore, it's considered mishtameres. Chotza mishtameres, and that's why he koina. So the Gemara, Meisive Akasha Zevala Yotzim Minatanu Minakiraim. The waste that comes out, the two types of ovens, v'akoilit min ha'avira, and the soicha, the tenant who caught the manure before he got to the floor, he caught it in a keli. Aryeh Yerushaloi belongs to the tenant, v'sheberefes in the pen, v'shebechotza, and in the chotza in the garden, shel balabais belongs to the landlord. If it's true, Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina said, so what that the tenant caught this manure before it landed on the ground? Why did it belong to him? Avir chatzeru, and avir is koine just like the chotza. The air is also koine. It should straight away when it goes into the air, the landlord should be koine it. The soicha, the tenant, per keli, straight away when the manure came out, it wasn't even in the air for 1 second for the chatza to be koine. Rava Omar, no. A different teretz. Avir shein soifer lenuach lav kemunach domi. When do we say avir is koina? When it's going to land in the chotza. But if it's not landing in the chotza because there's a kli underneath it, so the avir is not koina, and that's why it's not koina. Said the Gemara, mi pshitele Rava. Is this poshet for Rava? Vami boy Rava. Rava asked the shaila. The boy Rava. Derak arniki b'pesach zeviyotzo pesach zes. Reuven was mafke his wallet, and he threw it through someone's window, and he went out from the house, from the other side, from the other window. Mao, he asked the shaila, what's the din? Avir shein soifer lenuach kemunach domi olav kemunach domi. We know avir shelodom koine lo yishlo midatoi, but that's only, says Rava, maybe only if it's going to land, and here that's not going to land, it's going to go out the other window, it shouldn't be koina. And we could see Rava has a shaila, here he's clear that it's not koina. Says the Gemara, hosom lav mifsek v'lo imidi. When does Rava have a suffix if avirsha and soifel lenuach kemunach domi or not? It's when there's nothing between the item and the floor, the karka. Over here there's a keli of the tenant who's catching the manure. So in such a case where there's a keli in between, for sure avir is not koina. We learned in the Brisa v'sheberefes shebechotza, and in the pen and in the chotza reilu shebalabais. Says the Gemara, Tarti, why do we need to tell you both things? If we know chotza, that's not rented out, so also refes. If we know refes, also chotza. Why do we need to tell you both? That if you rent it out to the tenant, the chotza, even so, the pen in that chotza is not rented out to the tenant, and that's why whatever in the pen goes to the landlord. Omar of Sheishes, we see from here, Maski Chatzer Stam, someone rents out his chotza stam without explaining if the pen's rented out or not. Lo iskir refesh boy, they rent out the pen inside the chotza. Meisive, we have a kasha, yoine shovach, pigeons, from where you keep pigeons, v'yoine aliyah, and pigeons are kept in the attic and they fly and come back, they're not like locked in. Chayovis b'shluach, you need to do shluach again, v'asuras b'gezer, but and you're not allowed to take it away from the person who who type of belongs to, who's in control of these pigeons, we pray Darker Shalom. Really, it's not his because it flies away. It's not really Mishtameres, but Mitzad Sheni, because Darker Shalom, that you're not allowed to take it away. Says the Gemara, "V'im isa lo hodo amar Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina." That what? Chatzer she'adam koini lo yishlem midato. So why yichai b'shiluach? L'chora, this attic belongs to him. It should be koine these pigeons, and therefore Kori can. We read over here, it said in the pasuk, he Kori about shiluach haken, that only by accident you see a nest, then you have shiluach haken. Prat to exclude mizuman. If it's yours already, so there's no shiluach haken. So here these pigeons are koine lo shalom midato because of the dinner of Rabbi Yossi or Chanina. So why yichai b'shiluach haken? Omarova beitza betzias ruba udei yichai v'lo b'shiluach. When are yichai shiluach haken? When most of the egg came out of the pigeon. Umikne lo ikanya, but the kinyan of chotzas no yichal adenofla lechatzeroi, until it comes into the chotza, until it lands into the nest. When the Brisa says it's talking about before he comes into the chotza, only when 3/4 came out. If so, why are you not allowed to steal? Why are you not allowed to take these eggs? They're not his yet. Chotza's not koine yet. So the Gemara Imon, it's talking about the mother you're not allowed to take, because the mother belongs to him ipnei darkei shalom. The boy saying another teretz lo'olam habeitzim, really asurs ipnei darkei shalom is because also on the eggs all his chotza wasn't koina. Umedinofi kruba, since most of the egg came out, the owner has das on it, and therefore ipnei darkei shalom, you're not allowed to take it away. Said the Gemara, now that Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, also liskos bebeitzim kozman shem eimuri vetzesaleim, they're not allowed to be zoichen eggs when there's a pigeon on top of it or any kosher bird. Shenema, because it's in the pasuk shalech to shalech saying first shoo the mother away. Oda only afterwards it's abonin tikachloch, only then you're allowed to be zoichen the babies. Afilu teima denofel lechatzer, really could be told that the eggs already landed in his chotzer, but he can't be koiner it because it's also for him. So the Gemara is going to explain when he himself, the landlord, and something in his chotzer, his chotzers could be koine for him. Where he can't be koine because it's a issa midaraisa to be koine the babies before you show away the mother. So the mother also the chotzer can't be koine for him. So even if the eggs already landed in the nest in his chotzer, it's not koine for him because he's not allowed to be koine without throwing away the mother. Why is that so? If he shoot the mother away, Aryeh is koine kinyan chotzer. If he never shoot the mother away, he needs to send her away, and it's not his pigeons yet, his babies yet. So the Gemara, it's talking about bekoton the lav bar shiluachu. It's talking about the one who found them. He's a cotton, and he's not mechuyev with he's not mechuyev with shiluach, and he could be zoichen it before he's mishalech them, before he becomes the landlord, because he can't be koiner yet the landlord. So the Gemara, cotton bar darkei shalom, who, if we talk about cotton, like he's not mechuyev b'mitzvahs, he doesn't have a chiyuv of darkei shalom, and he's allowed to take away he's allowed to take it away. What's the problem? So the Gemara Achikoma, this is pshat. Aviv shel cotton, the father of the child, chayav la'achzilo, has to give it back to the landlord. You play darkei shalom because darkei shalom, it's in his chotzer, you have to give it back to him. Says the Mishnah, Amaski ba'aseh chatzer l'shana, someone who rented out his house to his friend for 1 year, Nisaber Hashana, the year became a ibayod, the extra ador, Nisaber la soicha, the soicha doesn't have to pay for the extra month. Iskilo lichadoshim, if the deal was every month you pay a certain amount, Nisaber Hashana, if the year became an extra month, Nisaber la masker, the masker gains and he has to pay because it's by months, and here you have an extra month, so you need to pay. Maise b'Tzipori, there was a story in the north in Tzipori be'echod with one man shesocha mercha to rent the bathhouse michavera from his friend b'shnei zov l'shana, 12 coins of gold per year. And then the deal was, in the contract it said medina zov l'chodesh, 1 dinner for each month. So it said both l'shonis, per month and per year. And this case came, this story came, Lifnei Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Lifnei Rabbi Yossi, and they said, you should split the extra month. Said the Gemara, Maisa Lister, at the beginning he said, it goes all to the Soicha, all to the Maske, and then you bring a story that goes Yachloiku, what's going on? So the Gemara, the Mishnah is missing, and this is chat in the Mishnah. That if he said both Lashonis, also per year and also per month, Yachloiku, so the extra month you split. There's also a story. That both Lashonis were used also per annum and also per month. So it fits in. We're missing a part of the Mishnah, and that part of the Mishnah, the story is going on that part. If I were there, I'd give it all to the landlord. Why? How what's the chiddush? To say that we go after the last lashon the person used, and since the last lashon in the contract was a dinner per month, and therefore we go per month and not per annum, and therefore you have to pay the extra chodesh ibo. Rav told us this in it already one. Rav Huna said that from the house of Rav they say astira mil. If someone came, astira is a seller, and there's 96 copper coins in it, and they were talking about a business deal to buy something, and they said astira mil. They said they use both Lashonis, also a big coin and also 100 mel moi. So you have to give mel moi because you go after and they agreed to do the deal. You have to pay mel moi because that was the last lashon that was used. And if you said mel moi astira, so you have to pay astira. So we could see go after lashon achron. Why does Rav have to tell us twice? Says the Gemara, if we'd only have that case of Rav Hava, I might have thought Purusha Komifarish. That over there, he explaining what type of, when he said a big coin and then he said 100 copper coins, he meant to say what type of big coins, a very full one that's worth 100 copper coins. And if he said 100 copper coins and then he said a big coin, he means to say what type of 100 small coins, a big coin meaning of 96. So therefore he's mefarish, but by Asa you can't say there's mefarish because it has two total meanings. Kumash Malon, that's why Rav's coming to tell you, the vort is first Loshen Achron. The Shmuel Omar differently. And the case in the Mishnah is talking about where they came to court to Bezdin in the middle of the month, the extra month. If he came at the beginning of the month, because the mask is muchzik, and he tells them, listen, I meant to say per month, and if you want to stay this extra month, you have to pay me extra money. If it came to Bezdin at the end of the month, because he's mutfas in the money, and he could say, I'm not paying. We said pa'anam. Said the Gemara, did Shmuel not say that you go after the last lashon you used? Rav Shmuel both say, if someone said, I'm selling you a kur, that's a big amount, for 30 coins, if he didn't do Mashiach on everything, and the 30 saw in it, and in the 30th saw he didn't do Mashiach yet, and he wanted to be choize, he could say, I'm changing my mind, because there was one transaction of a kur, and he didn't do Mashiach on the full kur yet, he's missing one saw, so there's no Mashiach done yet, so you could be choize on the deal. But if he said kur b'shloishim, and then he said saw basela, and each saw when the 30 saw in a kur is for each seller, and rishon kono. You look at each one that he did Mashiach, and you can't be choize by his koiner it, we could see it first lashon achron, you go after sell basela and moichelach. So what's Pshat Shmuel said over here, that's dafka in middle of the month. So the Gemara also time in mind, the reason is mishum de tofis. Over there, the reason is that each saw that he did Mashiach, he's toifes, he's muchzik. Hachanami katofis, also here, we look when he is toifes. If he comes at the beginning of the month, the mask is toifes. If he comes at the end of the month, the soich is toifes. And if he comes in the middle, it's 50-50. Rav Nachman Omar Karka Becheskos Ba'aleo Kayemes. We go after the bailim, and you have to pay it all to the masker, to the landlord. So the Gemara, my kamash malon, what's the chiddush of Nachman? Tfois loshen achroin. I know the Rav. That's exactly like Rav. Say I hold like Rav. Why are you telling me this whole different loshen? So the Gemara, afal gav the apich meipach. No, Rav Nachman says that the mask is always muchzik, and even if you said first the loshen of per month, and only after, and in the end he said the Loshen per annum. So if you go after the first Loshen Achron, you shouldn't have to pay for the last month. It says no, the mask is considered muchzik in the karka, and you have to pay him the extra month. Boy, mi name Rav Yanai. They asked the shaila for Rav Yanai. Soiche Omar Notzati. So the tenant says I paid my rent. Maskir Oyman, the landlord says Lo Natalti, you never paid me. Amil Aviraya, who has to prove? Says the Gemara Amos. What are they talking about? If it's before the time to pay the rent, and the time to pay the rent is at the end of the contract, Tanina, we learned it in the Mishnah. If it's after it's time to pay the rent, Tanina, we learned in the Mishnah that a son who's born a Bechor and his father passed away and he's not sure if he has to be paid himself or not. So it said in the Mishnah, if the father passed away before the 30 days and the Chiyu Pidina Ben is after 30 days, we take on that he never did the Pidina Ben, and if he doesn't have a proof that the father did Pidina Ben, the son has to do a Pidin. Until he brings a raya that he was nifta early. If the father passed away after 30 days, we could take on that his father did Pidina Ben already, unless they tell him clearly that his father didn't redeem him. So also by us, depends when this happened. If it was before time to pay rent, we believe the landlord. If it's after time to pay rent, we believe the tenant. No, the shaila is talking about the argument was that the day when it's time to pay the rent. Do we take on that he paid on time at the beginning straight away in the morning, and therefore the landlord has to bring a raya they never paid the rent? So again, or maybe not, and a person doesn't pay straight away, and therefore we believe the landlord and the tenant needs to bring a raya that he paid. We learned in the Brisa, someone who gets paid per day. So when it's his time to get paid, he makes a shvur and he takes his wages. If the boss says I paid you your wages, and he said that he never paid me, he makes a shvur. And the reason is, even though the normally call here the Rabbanon made the special gzera, because we choishes that the boss is mixed up. He thinks he paid another worker, and he thinks he paid him. So that's why we don't believe the boss, and we make the worker make a shvur, and then he gets paid. Said the Gemara, Sochir hu duram Rabbanon shvur alei. By a socher, it's a special thing that we make a shvur on the socher. Why? Mishum the balabai is torid bepoil, because we choishes the balabai got mixed up, and he paid someone else, and he think he paid this poil. Aval hocha, but in this case, soicher mehem and b'shvur. We should believe the soicha, the tenant, with a shvur that he paid, because the soicha, the tenant, is like the boss over there who needs to pay. And like normally, Mashma would believe the boss only because he's a boss and he has lots of people to pay. We say him got mixed up. But here by the tenant, we doesn't have a reason to get mixed up. We believe him, and therefore he makes a shvur and he patters himself from the rent. We should have a blessed week. We should be zoicha for Kabbalah Satorah. And we should learn to learn this tomorrow again and remember it and to be in Kaim all what we learn. Thank you.